In this episode, JJ is visited by a stranger who claims to have his grandfather's journal and begins reading it to him. As he reads it, we're taken to the past as we see something strange is going on. The young, lovely Mrs. Winter is ill, and the doctor, who's JJ's grandfather, is examining her. She basically explains to the doctor that she only married her husband because he has money, but he is not in love with them, basically seducing the doctor, but before they can kiss, the window blows open. She then begs the doctor not to let her die. That night, we see someone seducing Mrs. Winters, and it turns out to be a vampire who then bites her. As the doctor runs back into the room, he finds Mrs. Winter dead on the floor. After the doctor gives his condolences to Mr. Winter, a Caribbean woman appears and tells him that Mrs. Winter's death is connected to the death of 6 other women in the area, whom all had bite marks on their necks. The doctor passes her ideas off as the ramblings of a crazy person, but she insists Mrs. Winter will come back as a sickness and she must be destroyed. That night, the doctor wakes up from his desk and as he goes into the other room finds Mrs. Winter alive and waiting for him. She goes to seduce him, and right before she goes in for a bite, she is staked through the heart from behind by the Caribbean woman.
Mrs. Winter.
You look weary. And your brow is warm. Let me tend to you, as you did to me.
The doctor tells the Caribbean woman, who introduces herself as Ariel, that he believes her and wants to find out how to stop the sickness. She informs him the legends of how to kill vampires. The doctor then creates a serum that makes sunlight fatal to vampires. The doctor invites Mr. Winters over to tell him about his findings. He explains that he plans on creating a cure for what happened to her, which Mr. Winter dismisses. When Mr. Winter leaves, the doctor tells Ariel that he's sure that Mr. Winter is the vampire that turned Mrs. Winter. Ariel says he must be killed, but when the doctor disagrees, she knocks him out with ether. Ariel goes in to visit Mr. Winter with a cut hand, bleeding, in order to lure him in. When he goes in for a bite, she goes to inject him with the doctor's concoction, but he overpowers her. After knocking the doctor, who tried to rescue her out, he bites Ariel. Ariel informs Mr. Winter that she injected herself with the vampire poison, which means he has it in his system, and as she opens the curtains, he disintegrates. The doctor asks Ariel to let him help her, but she says she'd rather die than become a vampire and wants him to take her to the light. The doctor obliges, and she also disintegrates into the sun. Back in the present, the stranger then tells JJ that his grandfather tried to create a cure using the Winter's son as a test subject, but it didn't work and instead raised the boy to resist temptation. As the stranger walks off, he flashes his fangs showing that he is probably the Winter's son. Ariel in this episode is played by former model and Playboy cover girl Shari Belafonte. While she does become a vampire in this episode, she doesn't fang out. For that, you need to check out the 1985 straight-to-TV horror comedy, The Midnight Hour.
I brought your cape. Thought you might need it.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks for watching. If you like this content, please leave a like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to know every time I update. If you want to help my channel grow, please check out my Patreon where you can get access to content early as well as see the content that can't be uploaded here on YouTube. Link will be in the description. Until next time.